Hey, Salakia, technical difficulties. Apparently, I had a storage issue, so I'll go ahead and try to finish this up. But back on this devil holding the remains of Gad and Judah. All right, Harvard University, and they're not wanting to give them back for the families. All right. Again, Jeremiah 31. We're just getting into and explaining what this devil is trying to do. They were talking about they're studying DNA and trying to obtain ways of tracing lineal descendants, and how, at the end of the day, this devil is trying to figure out who's who as far as Israel in order to get that birthright back to do away with us. You've heard about, if you haven't, the uh, shovel shaped teeth and ones behind your incisors. That's a means of uh, also who is Israel. All right. Uh, if those ordinances depart from me, excuse me, verse 36. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith the Most High Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. All these things that you watch Esau doing and say, oh, this is such a scientific um, uh, um, first or whatever have you, his technology, his discoveries. This is an insidiousness to it. There's an ulterior motive to it that you never considered. Watching out, trying to determine the age of the stars and so other boundaries, the oceans, which he's only explored a very small percentage of. This man is a fool. He's an idiot. There's no way you can do this. This I always taught as low like sarcasm. All right. This is the Most High saying, go ahead. Not knowing, knowing that there's no way this idiot can accomplish this. Go ahead, man. Well, you know what? 37. Thus said the Most High, if heaven above can be measured, again, with his high-powered telescopes and other things, even his microscopes, whatever, on any level, both macro and micro. Thus saith the Most High, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel, again, going back to that birthright, for all that they have done, saith the Most High Yahweh. All right, there you go. So let's go back to the article, and I'm on, uh, let's see, because I wanted to also bring up other issues. Uh, where the heck was I? Oh, okay, hold on. Here it is. So it says more than 3,000 of 10,000 human remains held by Harvard have been repatriated since the introduction of Native American Grace Protection and Recreation Act in 1990. So why are you holding on to the rest? All right. So they've been caught, in effect, lying. So we'll see what's going to happen to that. But my next one was going to say, our people trust in this. You got here, 38-year-old Walmart worker died at the store because they wouldn't let her. She was afraid to call off because, hey, anybody's worked for Walmart, hey, that's just. But here, everybody remembers Katrina. It says Louisiana sued Hurricane Katrina survivors for misusing recovery grants. Now it has halted collection efforts. So here are these people. This is from ProPublica. All right, look at Jake there. Look at the expression. All right. So what they did, let's skip on down. Let's say ProPublica. Let's see, the Times Picayune. But anyway, here it goes. It says the state of Louisiana is pausing efforts to collect money from thousands of homeowners who accepted hurricane recovery grants and used them for repairs rather than elevating their houses. You know, I believe the story goes that the founder of the city of New Orleans begged and pleaded for them not to build where they eventually built because it's in effect sitting in like a bowl, all right? And they knew then that it was going to be prone to flooding. Why would you build something like that? And When you get into the late 1800s, there's a book on the market that I read like 20 plus years ago. It's called Rising Tide, the Great Mississippi Flood of 1927 and how it changed America. Boy, when you get into that, woo, these wicked ass motherfuckers, man. But the first like 80 or so pages is going into there was a feud between two engineers down there. One was named Eads, E-A-D-S. I think the other one was Humphreys. And these two were going at it as to how to manage the levee system down there, which we know failed. Uh, I'm not going to go, it's a whole nother, but yeah, and all the wickedness that this devil did and why things are like the way they were. And of course it goes into, of course, race, their hatred of Jake. That's a very good book. I believe the author's name is John M. Barry. All right. He's got a house both, I believe he did at the time, here in D.C. and in Houston. Anyway, so very good book. I encourage anybody to pick it up. Anyway, so what basically happened here, the people here, anyway, it says an investigation by ProPublica, the Advocate, the Times-Picayune. It says that, and WWL-TV found evidence that some of those people were told they could use the $30,000 grants on repairs, but they're saying, no, we gave this money for you to elevate your house. Is that not a repair? Years later, the state sued about 3,500 families, roughly 1 in 9 grantees, demanding the money back. This is what you get for dealing with this devil. But of course, he knowing that people, our people especially, were in dire straits. What did they do? But that's why he says never trust thine enemy. All right. He said the state is waiting for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to approve a proposed settlement between the state and the company it hired to manage the federally funded road home recovery program from 2006 to 2009. I'm willing to bet that there was a lot of mismanagement and theft from that agency, and they're trying to, of course, Jake gets made out to be the scapegoat, all right? In 2016, the state sued that firm, ICF Emergency Management Services, accusing it of mismanagement. All right. A mediator helped the two sides come to an agreement. Blah, 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 blah. That's the main point on that. For time's sake, I'm going to skip to another one. Can't trust this motherfucker, but our people always do. This is funny here. Dumbest man on earth sneaks up on a bear, kicks it, and he gets mauled. What did you fucking expect? I mean, wow. This is the curses. North Carolina man who won $10 million lottery gets life in prison. The curses. Because he was what? Dating a woman, loosely referred to as a woman. He's 54, she's 23. He catches her talking to another man. What do you think is going to happen? Jealousy is the rage of a man. Hey, But, hey, that adulterous generation. Well, it was something else I had. This congressman had to be a Jake. We won't rest until we've confiscated guns from America. He let the cat out the bag. It was something else. Let's see. Oh, this dumbass here. The Supreme Court is about to rule on another scary voting rights case. Show you that, it's all bullshit, but in this particular one, it may seem very small, but I've always said that, and others, 9/11, you can mark that as, some will say maybe a little bit before, but especially 9/11 was the point at which, hey, these devils are rolling back. All that shit that people so-called fought for before then because of what's going on right now, all right? This new world order. Anyway, so what happened here, this will be summed up right here. David Ritter is a Republican candidate for a judgeship on the Lehigh County Court of Common Pleas in Pennsylvania. Official tallies show him leading Democrat Zachary Cohen by 71 votes. Meanwhile, 257 ballots remain uncounted, enough to potentially flip the race from Ritter to Cohen. Ritter wants the Supreme Court to prevent these ballots from being counted, thus locking in his victory. And while the election took place last November and two other judges who prevailed in that election have already been sworn in, the outcome of the Ritter-Cohen race remains uncertain as the fight over these uncounted ballots drags on. A state law provides that voters who cast their ballots by mail shall date and sign the envelope accompanying their ballot. This is how petty this is. Significantly, however, the state does not care which date the voter writes on this envelope, only that a date is written upon it. Envelopes that are dated July 4, 1776 or April 5, 2063 will be opened and the ballot within shall be counted. But Ritter argues, the Republican, that voters who fail to write any date should be disenfranchised. Ritter's argument conflicts with a federal voting rights law which provides that voters should not be disenfranchised due to paperwork errors, if such error or omission is not material in determining whether such individual is qualified under state law to vote in such election. The law, which was enacted as part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, what did I just say about turning back the clock on all these so-called rights you thought you had? Civil Rights Act of 1964 was intended to prevent states from hunting through paperwork filed by voters of color to find small errors that could then be used to disenfranchise those voters. For you ignorant motherfuckers that somehow think these Republicans are better than the Democrats or vice versa. All right, it says, but the law is written broadly to apply to any state action that would strip someone of the right to vote because of a paperwork requirement that is irrelevant to whether the voter is legally qualified to vote. So again, he's nitpicking. He's being petty, like I just said. All right. Ritter, in other words, this case should be an extremely easy case, even if there might be a legitimate reason why Pennsylvania could require voters to accurately state the date when they cast their ballot. A requirement that voters must write any random date on their ballot envelope is not material in determining whether such individual is qualified under state law to vote. So they tried any way they can to keep us, again, Psalms 83, all right, keep us from becoming a nation. We're being attacked from all sides, from all points. We always have been. All right, you got to understand slavery in its totality. What is it? All right, it's exploitation. What they figured out, they've had this system for the longest of times. All right, and it's always worked. All right, exploitation. Let's look at something else this devil does. Let's see, I had certain things keyed up. Let's see. Oh, because he's a perverse at the end of the day. This devil, this Edomite, the so-called white man's perverse. And as an adjective, it states, of a person or their actions showing a deliberate and obstinate desire to behave in a way that is unreasonable or unacceptable, often in spite of the consequences. And we get our synonyms, all right, illogical, irrational, unreasonable. All right, you have what? He's a contrary. Wisdom of Solomon, 2nd chapter should come to mind. It breaks it down all there. Because of time, I don't have, that kind of time to go into it. But that's what this devil is. He was not created to have any goodness. If he does any goodness, as the scripture states, it's by accident. All right, for all those of Jakes, especially in these churches, these Christians that think there's some kind of good there. No, it's not. Hey, again, I don't want this to run out on me the second time. This has been, of course, the Supreme Court ruling, again, turning back the clock on certain, in this case, voting rights, being real petty. And the first one was Harvard is accused of holding human remains of thousands of Gadites and Reubenites and Southern Kingdom Jakes, primarily those killed in that move organization in Philly back in May of 1985, if I remember correctly. So, hey, what can you say? This devil He's got to go, and he is going. All right. Hey, so with that, hey, shalom.